Firefighters are working to cut containment lines, especially towards the north, and move the fire into any bodies of water they can to stop it from growing and keep those structures safe. In the meantime, in some portions where the fire has already moved through, especially the southern portion near where the fire first started up. I asked Navarro whether he'd stop using ATMs. He said, no, he's not going to do that. They're convenient. As you can see, somebody just used one in the past few seconds. Even at night, they are easily accessible. This is where her roof separated from her ceiling. And this all happened during that 6.4 that hit on Thursday. And remember, Friday we had a 7.1. It was even more powerful. And another thing to demonstrate, and this is what has just been getting at me all day. I cannot stop thinking about this. There is about a foot drop between where her house used to line up with the deck here. Started in Clovis. Clovis PD tried to pull over a stolen car, but the driver sped off and eventually ended up right here, crashed at Cedar and Herndon in Fresno. He also hit another car, and then police believe he took off across the way into John's Incredible Pizza. They're there searching for him now. Surveillance video actually shows him going into the building and into an abandoned room. Well, you can see the black behind me. That's that char left over from yesterday's fire. So firefighters clearly had a lot to deal with all along here, even apart from thinking about needles on the ground. And that's just when they're battling flames. They also have to consider if they're giving medical aid and they kneel down, what their knee is being put on, where their hands are going. That's all stuff they have to think about now. And it's a problem the battalion chief I spoke with today says is only getting worse. I wanted to give them the opportunity to explain to parents and kind of ease some of the fears we're experiencing in the district, but we aren't going to get that, it seems. The walls are coming apart and coming forward in several different places around the building. It is infested with flies and mosquitoes and other bugs that the people with Focus have been trying to deal with, but it's kind of tough when they have to work around all these jerry-rigged things like this hose here. And in this room, things start to look even worse. There are several spots along the ground that have been caving in, and I'm told that's only been getting worse with time. Also, several locations along the wall where mice have been eating at it, completely destroying the building. There is, so you can see that they do still have it walled off, although we've seen a bunch of employees go in and out of the building, so we know it's at least still operational, although there is still water leaking out onto the ground, as you can see here, that might be left over from this morning. So it's obviously going to be a long way to go before everything is back to normal in this part of the jail, which has 1,700 inmates. The city of Parlier just opened this state-of-the-art splash park last month. It's a $4 million project the city is very proud of, but police say people have already come through and put graffiti wherever they can. Coming up, I'll let you know who they think might be responsible, how they plan to stop this in the future, plus what this has cost the city so far and how long it took them to clean it up. Now, fire investigators are still trying to figure out exactly what sparked up the flames, but they do know that it didn't just end at this property. It actually hopped over this fence onto a neighbor's house. And Georgia's governor is biting back at the MLB after it announced it's pulling the All-Star game out of Atlanta. That decision came as a form of protest over the new state voter law. We did just hear from Clovis police. They reported last Monday that mail thefts are getting worse and worse. They got 193 reports of stolen mail in all of 2021, and in January of this year, they already had 50. One of the structures lost to the Creek Fire is the Huntington Lake Volunteer Fire Station. Yesterday, I toured the damage with Brother Chris, who is the fire chief for Huntington Lake. Left you feeling like you wanted to smash something to bits. It turns out there's a safe haven for that.
And down further, here comes 4Gs.
As we started the flight, I was optimistic. Look at me smiling. I'm in good hands, great hands. The pilot I was with has clocked more than 1,400 flight hours, and he's one of 7 Blue Angel pilots in the world right now, representing 800,000 sailors and Marines.
Our entire goal is to inspire a culture of excellence and service to country. So whether that's through military service or through your local region, just doing something to make the world around you a better place.
I got multiple debriefings and pressure suit trainings, prepping me to withstand the G-forces during the flight. You have to flex your abs, thighs, glutes, and calves, take half a breath in and hold it, making this sound.
It's a bit of an athletic event. So we're going to pull some G's, it's going to be a little warm, You're gonna be flexing your muscles to stay awake, and about 45 minutes of it, it'll be pretty tiring, but that's why we stay on top of it through exercise, physical fitness.
Let me make this clear. I am not the adventurous type. I'm not a speed demon. I don't like roller coasters.
You ready to roll upside down? Yes. All right, ready, hit it.
I was not ready.
And there is -1 G. All right, so I'm going to push the nose of the jet up and roll this back upright. You'll feel a little bit more push. And there we go. Oh, North American.
Moments later was the first of 2 occasions I reached for the barf bags the Blue Angels so generously provided. The second was after we got as close as possible to breaking the sound barrier without actually doing so.
There's 98% of the speed of sound. We're doing about 630 knots ground speed, so almost 700 miles an hour.
Shortly after that,
ready, hit it. You're halfway there. And you're all the way there. Go ahead and relax.
I relaxed too much.
We're flying straight up and down.
I'm unconscious for about 7 seconds before I wake up and look around, entirely confused as to where I am. That was around 40 minutes into the flight, and I was about done after that. Earlier in the day, I'd asked Lieutenant Commander Kerry Rickoff what he'd want you guys at home to know.
We're normal people.
I'm going to stop him right there. That just isn't true. Or at least he and I have vastly different views on the word normal. But I get what he means.
We come from the fleet, we go back to the fleet. We're a normal naval pilot or naval maintainer, just in a blue flight suit. And then once our time's up here, we go back, just carry on the tradition.
Glad I did it, but will not be doing that again. At Lemoore Naval Air Station, Marie Edinger, Fox 26, your hometown news connection.
Frankie DePrimo was 20 years old. He was a huge jokester. He loved Mustangs. He loved his girlfriend and his family.
Wave! He was a great kid. He was caring. Everybody wanted him around. He was always the life of the party.
He died on a Friday, fentanyl overdose.
We're talking about him now in the past tense. What's that like?
It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. Frankie will be gone 2 years, April 17th. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't cry. And some days are worse than others. As time goes by, I feel it gets worse because it's reality. And you know they're never coming back.
Frankie wasn't an addict. He, like many others his age, used drugs occasionally. He and his girlfriend had gotten into a fight, and he asked a drug dealer for Xanax. The family's Ring camera caught the dealer dropping them off at the house that night. His mom had no idea.
I went to his door, and I tried to open it, and it was locked, and I went and got the key. And then I came back, and I opened it, and I could tell he'd been dead for a long time.
He'd spent the night playing Xbox. His mom found him the next day, with his headphones still on.
When I opened up that bedroom door, it changed my life forever.
A toxicology report showed the pill Frankie took was mostly Unisom, aspirin, and fentanyl. His mom checked his room and found the baggie his dealer gave him. The pills crumbled when she picked them up. Clearly pressed pills, not real pharmaceuticals.
The Xanax pill that Frankie thought he was taking, he had 6 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in his system.
The drug dealer who sold them was arrested, but got a slap on the wrist.
There needs to be harsher penalties for drug dealers selling fentanyl because it's killing. And some days I feel like I'm just a zombie. I'm just here, you know. Because the hole I have in my heart, it hurts.
Frankie's mom kept his car and drives it around sometimes. She kept his room pretty much as it was, memorabilia still up, love notes she'd written him still on his mirror.
There's a lot of things that you hold on to because it's a part of you. And I felt like I would lose him, but you know what? I know now I'll never lose him because he's always here with me.
Now, Elaine Hudson is on a mission.
The more people that I can make aware of this deadly drug called fentanyl, the more lives I will save. If I can prevent another parent of going through what I'm going through, I'm making a difference.
She's planning to set up a memorial for Frankie at Willow Gardens Nursery, where she'll keep a supply of Narcan and drug test strips available to the public.
These kids, whether we like it or not, they're going to do it. And if they could test their drugs before, maybe it will save their life.
Damage assessment teams have been able to go through. They said they're about 50% done with their work, at least from what they expect so far. And 632 structures have, we know, been destroyed, more on top of that damage. Although some of the firefighters who were just down the road from here trying to stop the creek fire now know that their homes are on that list of destroyed structures.
Right now, a lot of us are wondering, do we even rebuild? I mean, if you look around at the ground, are these trees going to come back? Ground cover will come back, but, what's it going to take? What's it going to take?
The Pine Ridge Volunteer Fire Department has 15 firefighters and 6 people on what's called the Quad Squad. Of those 21 people, only 3 have homes still standing.
One of the chiefs said it came through this whole community in about 30 minutes.
James Parr is the chief of the Pine Ridge Volunteer Fire Department and assistant chief of the Shaver Lake Volunteer Fire Department. He and his wife lost their homes to the creek fire. Another volunteer with Shaver Lake lost his home as well. And not everyone has insurance.
The company that's writing for us doubled the price 2 years ago and then tripled it again last year. So that, honestly, that prices a lot of people out. We were able to keep insurance, knock on wood.
Pine Ridge also lost 2 fire engines. Chief Parr thinks it must have taken 1,000 plus degree heat to leave it like this. Crews are working to clear the roads, getting power lines and burnt trees out of the way. But Chief Parr thinks it'll be a while before people are allowed up here.
So, but homeowners have been saying, I want to come up and, take a look and, grab my photo album or something like that. And it's like, it's very hard, not just to explain it to them, but it's very hard emotionally for both of us to tell them that you don't have a photo album, right? Your storage shed where you keep that is just as destroyed as your house. You can't come up this week. You can't come up next week, probably. It's probably going to be a long time. It's just hazardous up here.
This is a map of the evacuation zones, and there are firefighters standing by to make sure that any homes within these areas that are still standing stay that way. As Monty mentioned a couple minutes ago, there are some areas that have their evacuation orders now decreased to evacuation warnings, but for the areas that are still under mandates, the chief thinks that it's probably going to be a while, maybe even a couple weeks before people are allowed back into those areas because of all the dangers, the downed trees, power lines, fires that are still sparking up, ash that is toxic, lots of hazards that he mentioned. Monty?